All right, Bob, you want to introduce to the latecomers the youth exchange student?
Sure, it's my pleasure to introduce Annie Carracedo. Did I say it right, Annie?
Hi, no.
Okay, I tried. Annie is an inbound youth exchange student in our district over at the Bay St. Louis Club. Her home club is the Rotary Club of Valencia, which is in District 4380. And she is an 18-year-old young lady and the daughter of 2 Rotarians. So Annie, take it away.
Excuse me, before Annie does that, Dan, would you mute everybody except Annie at this point?
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen with y'all. Great. So thank you for having me today in your meeting and having me this year here in the States. It's a pleasure for me to be here speaking to y'all. I say y'all all the time. Sorry. Well, Mr. Bob already introduced me, but I would like to say it again. I'm Anniela, but here they call me Annie. My name is Anniela Carracedo. I'm 18 years old, and my home club is Rotary Club Valencia and Intra Club Valencia. I'm an Intra Club member in 2 clubs, in Venezuela and here. So it's really fun. I actually have 4 clubs, like both of my Rotary clubs and both of my Intra clubs. It's really, really fun. I was born in Venezuela. You have heard about Venezuela lately in the news, I will say. You may not know that Venezuela is one of the most beautiful countries that I have ever seen. I haven't traveled a lot, but I know it's beautiful. It's a beautiful country, and it's a really unique one because we have the highest waterfall in the world. But we also have the tallest and longest cable car in the world. But wait a minute. Yes, all this in the same place all year long because we don't have seasons. Like here is like winter and then hot and then rain and then humidity and then I got sick. So in Venezuela, we don't have seasons and we have all this all year long. We can go to the snow and then drive 4 hours and get to the jungle and then drive a little more and get to the desert. We have a little one and then 30 minutes away is the beautiful, beautiful beach. All this is in a place like Texas because Venezuela is like Texas, like around the size of Texas, and we are in the north of South America. We are really close to the equator, and we are in the Caribbean. It's beautiful. It's a paradise on earth. But the fact that I like the most about Venezuela is we are the country with the largest oil reserve in the world. So it's supposed to mean that we have a lot of money. But I was born in 2001 in Venezuela, in the beginning of one of the most complicated humanitarian and economic crises that Latin America have ever seen. So when I was a kid, this is me and my father when I was really young. The stuff were start to disappear from the supermarket. We couldn't get like here during the pandemic, you know, you go to Walmart and you may see in pictures like that. In 2004 in Venezuela, they start to disappear the products that we normally have, and the prices were start to go up and up and up every day. And that picture, we took that picture after say goodbye to some relatives that were leaving the country. So we have few stuff in the supermarket, the prices start to go up, and we start to say goodbye to the people we love because they were leaving the country. After that, we could spend hours, days, or even weeks without electricity or running water, and you couldn't go outside anymore because it was dangerous. People start to steal, to kill, to take you. That was a progressive, like you could go outside 1 year and then the next year, it's a big never mind to be outside with your phone. So that was going on when I had a normal life, what I thought was a normal life, until, I don't know, 10 years ago, where my normality was a little bit different than other teenagers. So we started to have protests all over the country. I had to jump barricades to go to the store with my mom or go whatever. I had to do my homework with candlelight because there was no electricity. And last year, in my senior year, I'm sorry for that mistake, for that grandma mistake. I'm really sorry. We were locked down in our houses because there were protests for months and months and months. Like half of my senior year, I was in my house because we couldn't get outside. And now because there was a virus, was violent protests all over the country. So last year, the United Nations said that 7 million people in Venezuela needs humanitarian aid. It's a quarter of the Venezuelan population. Around 4.3 million people needs water and sanitation. 1.9 million people require nutritional assistance, including 1.3 kids under 5 years old. And we're talking now about human rights violations. The situation in Venezuela is really complicated in all the aspects, but it has led to a massive refugees crisis. 5 million people have fled Venezuela. Around 10% of our population have fled Venezuela. The majority of my family is in other countries. I will say all my friends are outside Venezuela. They are not living there anymore. We were 300 kids in my class, but we just graduated 100 together. So that's how many people that you know have fled. But let's talk about money, right? Because the important part of everything is money. The hyperinflation in Venezuela was calculated last year in 10 million%. Hyperinflation, but what that means. So when I left in August 14, $1 cost 8,000 bolivares. $1, like one bill. 2 weeks after that, the same $1 cost 22,000 bolivares, which is our money. The same bill 2 weeks before 8,000, and then 2 weeks 22,000. And now, I don't know today, but yesterday was 132,000 bolivares for $1. So you will say $1 is a lot. No, it's not, because the minimum wage in Venezuela is $3.5 per month. So if you are a professional and you work, you are gonna get $3.5. So a professional who graduate from the college, university, the average of the salary is like $30 per month. A professional, like a doctor, and you need to live in Venezuela like $200 to live good. So that's how it is down there. So you will say, okay, y'all have 20 years living that, because like almost 20 years. How a country can be in that shape, how a government can let the people be in that way. So the political history of Venezuela, it's really complicated, really long. I love it. I love politics. I love history. I can talk about that all day, but it's really long. So the summary is we had a president, President Chavez. He won the elections in '99. He changed the constitution, and they were taking all the branches of government really slow. So we have 5 branches of government. One of those is for the elections. So every elections they did, every elections they won. He died, then his vice presidents took office, and this is officially a dictatorship because the elections they did for that president, 80% of the country didn't attend. So the international community said, like, wait a minute, this is not fair. This is not a democracy anymore. So that's how we get to Nicolás Maduro, that you maybe, if you saw the news this morning, you heard about him this morning. But so as I told y'all, this is a really complicated political situation. We have 2 Congresses and we have 2 Supreme Courts. And now, well, from last year, we have 2 presidents as well. So one interim president, which is Juan Guaidó, that he was in the State of the Union, in the State of the Union in January. And then we have this other dictator. So it's really complicated. We have 2 presidents, 2 Congress, 2 Supreme Courts. We certainly don't understand at all what we are going on, but it's kind of that. So here, y'all can see that all the democratic countries recognize interim president Juan Guaidó, and some of other kind of countries support the dictatorship. But while all this, I was born in the middle of this crisis. I was born, I grew up, and I did everything in my life in the middle of the crisis. But what I have learned is that the problems are nothing more than needs that require solutions. And if we live in a crisis, we have a lot of problems, so we have a lot of solutions in our head. My parents taught me that. They are both Rotarians, and they taught me that the problems are just needs and we have to solve them. Like, we have a problem, we need a solution. We don't have time to complain. So my father is a volunteer firefighter. He works in the security sector, and he's a veteran, and he's a specialist in emergencies and disasters. I learned from him the service vocation and commitment. My mom, she's a real estate lawyer. She's a community promoter, and she's coach in entrepreneurship. That word is really hard for me, really hard for me. I learned from her how to make connections in citizenship. So y'all can think, what a terrible life to be being born in Venezuela. I don't think that way. I'm blessed because I was born there and I have the opportunity to see all the necessities we have and to look for solutions to solve them. So, but that's because my education, the education I had, I graduated last year from a private Catholic school. I had the opportunity to give the speech in our last class before graduation, and I participated in the Model of United Nations for 5 years. Last year, I was the Secretary General of the Model of United Nations, and I had to organize an event, a conference for 300 students in one of the craziest economies in the world. And we have to set up the conference, and we have to look and we have to look the money, and any business would like to help us because they have their own problems, but we find a way to do it because we are creating good people, good leaders, good politicians, because that's what the Model of United Nations is. If you have the opportunity to look it up, the model of United Nations, it's a great program to join. So I was doing all this with my parents helping me, because I grew up in this organization called the School of Citizens. So it's more than 10 non-governmental organizations that join all together to create and educate citizens and help and teach how to help each other. Because if the government doesn't work, we are gonna make that happen. So I grew up in this environment, and that's how I joined in Intra Club. Because obviously Rotary was all educating citizens and creating citizens in Venezuela. So I joined in Intra Club. In my club, I was the secretary of my club last year, and that's how I decided to join in a long-term exchange with Rotary. We were 80 students who wanted to join in an exchange. Now we are 72 Venezuelans from all around the world, sharing with y'all our story. So when I y'all here, all right? Great. Get to the States was really complicated because literally 2 months before I joined in the program, United States and Venezuela broke relationships. So I had no embassy to go in Venezuela. I had to go to Colombia, all the way to Colombia to get my US visa. Me, my mom and I, we had to cross the border walking. One of the most dangerous borders in the world. My mom and I, we crossed that like walking. That's a crazy story. It's funny when we tell that, but anyways, so we get to the States, and I had the opportunity to see a other different reality, and I joined in the Rotary life here. I have done a lot of presentations in Rotary Club, sharing with y'all the story of Venezuela and promoting, Rotary Youth Exchange. I have learned how to communicate effectively. I have learned English because when I came here, my English wasn't that great. I have learned how to make connections with the right people. And I have grown up in a professional level that I am not the same person that I was when I came here. So I got involved in all this Rotary work and obviously in the service vocation. I love going to community service projects here, and each time I have the opportunity to get more involved with Rotary, I'll do it. And Rotary Youth Exchange, Rotary Youth Exchange connect us with the right people. I have the opportunity to share my culture and get involved in the American culture and respect the difference, because we are all humans in the end. So that's my favorite part about Rotary Youth Exchange. And I got involved in a American high school, and I love that. I really love my high school here. I got involved in all these clubs like FVLA, debate, US government. I had no clue about US history, but I won a competition there because I don't know, it's fun. And Intra Club, obviously, and Spanish Honor Society. So I didn't know the majority what it was about the clubs that I joined, but I joined in everything. And at school, I had also the opportunity to share about Venezuela because the majority of the students had no clue where is Venezuela. They have asked me like, what part of Mexico is Venezuela? Like, in what part? And so I have done around 20 presentations about Venezuela, what's going on, where we are located, and look for a way to help. So there is an e-club in Houston, Texas, that they are doing this project called Hope for the Venezuelan Refugees. And in my high school, we were collecting shoes, socks, and hats to send to the Venezuelan refugees. I was living my best life here. I was involved in the Rotary War. I had the best friends. I had the best school. I had my goals. I wanted to go to the United Nations because I want to work there. And I wanted to go to Disney because I have never been in Disney. And I wanted to take the ACT and apply for Harvard and do everything. And then the coronavirus hit. And surprise, we're in a pandemic. And I felt I was in Venezuela again because the news every day were wars. All my friends, my exchange friends, were leaving the country back to their home countries, and we were in a crisis. But what we do in crisis, we look for solutions, right? So I have challenged my intra clubs, both the home country and the host intra club, to be more active during the quarantine. And we create this platform called Interactive Quarantine that now is hosted by our district, District 6840. So this is a platform where Rotary Youth, including intra-clubs and Rotary Youth Exchange, get together to share our experiences and take actions during the quarantine. So we are more than 90 intra-clubs from more than 27 countries in the 6 continents. So we are a huge platform. We are the only Rotary Youth platform of these kinds, and we meet and we share our projects during the quarantine. What you have been doing, that's what I have been doing. Let's make a difference. Let's inspire others to make a difference as well. So that's why we with the district, we have decided to create this conference called Rotary Youth Interactive Quarantine Conference. It's gonna be in May 16 and 17, and we are gonna have really special guests, President Mark Maloney and President-elect Holger Kenneth are gonna be with us. And this conference, we are really, really excited for that. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Bob is gonna share with y'all the information of the conference. So that's what I have been doing during the quarantine. I felt at home again when the crisis hits, because when we have crisis, we have to look for solutions. I have been working with the Interactive Quarantine project, but I have been also working with Venezuela. I have 3 causes, 3 of them in my city. So my father is a volunteer firefighter, and his fire station they have no resources to respond to this crisis, and they are the first responders. There is also a home shelter close to my city that they have been working for, 15 years with girls and homeless, and they really need help right now. But the house that I love the most is it's a group of people that they are taking food and medicine to the hospitals, and they are taking that food riding the bicycles because there is no gasoline in Venezuela right now. So they have to take the food, they have to look it up the food to cook it and then take that to the hospital in bikes, and they really, really, really need help. So if y'all know somebody that could help that people, that will be great. So anyways, I need to do that little span about Venezuela. I always have to, look for help. And thank you for listening to me today, for giving me the opportunity to share my story, to share how Rotary Youth Exchange and how Rotary has definitely changed my life. I'm other person since my exchange started, and I think Rotary is creating the next world leaders, and leaders with heart, not just smart people, people who do the good. So thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Dan, would you moderate any questions that the members would have for Annie.
Yeah, whoever wants to ask a question, please raise your hand in your camera so I can unmute you. Yes, Lindy.
Annie, what's the solution in Venezuela?
Okay, we have several. We want democracy. We want a transitional government. We want a transitional government, then we want to do elections, then we want to have a democratic government. That's what they are looking for. The opposition in the country, they are kind of trying to create a electoral, like, people who want to help us to do the elections. I think that's the solution. But then we have an entire work to rebuild the economy, to rebuild the educations, to educate the society. Like, we have living in poverty for 21 years. So we have a huge work to do, but I think people is getting that done.
Do you want the United States to intervene?
The what?
Should the United States intervene?
Well, as long as y'all help us to take these people out, I mean, I think that the United States have been helping us to make pressure to this bad government, because they are criminals. They are not just, crazy communist people. No, they are criminals. They are involved in drugs. They are involved in all this stuff. So I think the United States have been a really good job pressuring that people.
I have a question, Annie. Will you have trouble getting home?
Yeah. Right now there is no way for me to get back to my house, because I had to travel either to Panama or Colombia to get back. And they, like, in this right now, if I'm going to any of, first I can't go to Colombia because I'm not Colombian, and they are just having their people in. So there's no way I could go home right now. And after all this, I don't know.
So the coronavirus has made it even harder.
Yeah, like, it was hard before to get to the States, or back, and now it's even harder.
Anyone else want to raise their hand before we thank Annie? Yes, Bob, unmute. There you go.
All right. I just want to say that we are very, very fortunate to have Annie in our district as an exchange student. She's been a real asset. The International Interact Conference that she mentioned was her idea, and she is the moving force behind it, along with the other youth exchange officers in the district. And she is to be congratulated for all of her hard work. And I am trying on a district level to figure out how to get some money down to Venezuela for her causes.
That would be nice. I would also say that in 10 or 15 years, when Annie is the duly elected president of Venezuela, I hope she keeps us in mind. Anyone
I
else?
don't know, president of Venezuela, but thank you.
Thank you. This was one of the more informative presentations I think we've had. Anybody else want to add to it? Harold, you can officially bid us adieu if I can find the unmute button. There you go.
Yeah, I unmuted myself, Dan.
Good for you.
Thank you for hosting it. Annie, thank you and good luck. I think next week, Dan, we have John Nitchens as the speaker. He's
Yeah,
the CEO of
head of
Children's Hospital.
Children's Hospital.
And I want to thank everybody for attending today. As you can see, we're finishing up fairly early as opposed to going all the way to 1 o'clock. So I will send out another email asking, for a revote or, reconsideration of the members who have not responded to maybe donate some or portion of their meal costs to the relief effort. So without further ado, I will see y'all next week, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Annie.
Thanks
Meeting
to you for
adjourned.
hosting,
Look,
having
Annie.
Annie speak.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay, we're going. Bye-bye.
Bye, Dan.
I am now ending all of you. It's my power.